got the flavor.
From the nation's capital, Monrovia, good morning and welcome to King's News, a 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Today is Tuesday, December 16, 2025, and I'm Newton Tupper presenting stories we're following this morning. A grief status of the Liberian Senate criticized the Senate's leadership over what they described as prolonged neglect, including the failure to implement salary increment, threaten legal action against the Senate's leadership if their demands are not addressed. Liberian musician Kawudo Ko, popularly known as Bokiro, and others have spent first night behind bars at the Moravia Central Prison following an order from the judge of the Painesville Magisterial Court on allegation of illegal possession of narcotic substances. Liberian National Police launches nationwide security operation in preparation for the upcoming festive season. LMP Commissioner for Operations Prince Davis says the initiative is intended to strengthen security measures across the country. Away from home, armed men have kidnapped at least 13 people from a church in Nigeria's central Kogi state, the second such attack in many weeks. These plus the news bulletin, our international developments, and our package. We are taking a very short break. I'll be right back. Thanks for rejoining, and let's now have the news bulletin. Aggrieved staffers of the Liberian Senate have criticized the Liberian Senate's leadership over what they describe as prolonged neglect, including the failure to implement salary increment, among other things. Speaking during a protest action at the Capitol building Monday, a member of the Senate staff accused the leadership of the Liberian Senate of bad labor practices and total disregard for the welfare. According to him, employees at the Senate have faced persistent marginalization and violation of their rights. He noted that the last salary increment granted to staff occurred in 2015 during the tenure of former Senate Pro Tem Amanjala. The staff spokesperson further argued that despite onward increases in the Senate's overall budget, the welfare and needs of employees continued to be overlooked by the leadership. He alleged that while senators reportedly allocated more than 13 million for their operations, the staff budget amounted to only US 1 million, a situation he described as a clear sign of neglect and institutional disregard. The Senate the Senate staffer for the court on the Senate leadership to immediately increase their budget, warning that failure to do so could lead to legal action. In response, Maggie County Senator Nathaniel Mangill expressed disappointment over the situation and pledged to work with the Senate's leadership and the Civil Service Agency to address their concerns. The judge of the Painesville Magisterial Court has remanded Liberian Rabbi Kawudu Ko, popularly known as Bucky Raw, along with other suspects to the Moravia Central Prison following several days of detention. The musician and other individuals were arrested on Friday amid allegations of being in possession of illegal substances. Their arrest by the LDA and subsequent court order has sparked widespread public debate, with some criticizing and questioning the government's commitment to impartially combating drug trafficking and abuse across the country. In another development, the LDA has announced that it has taken immediate administrative action against one of its officers, Agent Ayubat Kruman, in connection with the case. The action follows a Facebook post made by the agent, which the agency says was linked to the suspect. Agent Kroman, who reported himself as a bouncer for Bucky Road doing musical events, made a post on his official Facebook page suggesting continued friendship with the suspect despite his role he played and led to the arrest and court proceedings. Meanwhile, the LDA stated that such conduct constitutes a serious breach of professional ethics and it is unacceptable. The agency has therefore cautioned the public against conducting any business with the suspended officer in the name of the LDA until further notice. The LDA further urged all of its officers to refrain from any action that could undermine the agency's ongoing effort to combat drug trafficking and substance abuse nationwide. The Liberian National Police has launched a nationwide security operation in preparation for the upcoming festive season celebrations across the country. According to the LMP, the initiative is part of statutory mandate to ensure the protection of lives and property as Liberians prepare to engage in various end-of-the-year activities. Speaking on Monday at the headquarters of the Liberian National Police, LMP Commissioner for Operation Prince David said the operation is intended to strengthen security measures at key borders, checkpoints, and other strategic locations nationwide. He noted that deployment of officers to major intersections, public spaces, and identified crime-prone areas will help safeguard citizens and residents throughout the celebration of the festive season. Commissioner Davis further emphasized the importance of vigilance, urging community members to promptly report any suspicious activities to the authorities. At the same time, the commander commended officers of the Liberian National Police for what he described as their unwavering commitment to protecting lives and property across the country. President Joseph Boakat Monday launched the Excellence in Learning project under the Ministry of Education 5-year strategic plan in supporting the construction and renovation of 100 schools across Liberia, reaffirming the government's commitment to strengthening the country's educational sector. In his special remarks, President Boakai described the event as a far more than a launching of a development program, characterizing it as a clear statement to Liberia's national identity and its commitment to the future of its children. The president underscored a fundamental principle guiding the initiative that every Liberian child, regardless of where they are born and raised, deserves access to quality education and genuine opportunity to succeed. President Boakai reaffirmed that education remains the cornerstone of national development of his administration, emphasizing that when education is prioritized, the nation is placed on the right path, not only for present progress, but for long-term generational transformation. And further stressed that his administration is focused not on the next election, but on the next generation, particularly the children currently in classrooms who will define Liberia's future. Finance and Development Planning Minister Augustine Kalfon has highlighted the government of Liberia's determination to address learning poverty and strengthen the foundation of national development through education. Speaking at the launch of the Ministry of Education Excellence in Learning Project 5-year strategic plan, Minister Kalfon emphasized that while the event marked a formal launch of the project, it is also important and he presented an extensive dedication, technical engagement, and negotiation carried out in Washington, D.C., involving the government of Liberia and the Global Partnership for Education, the World Bank, the European Union, and other development partners. He expressed sincere appreciation to all donors contributing to the GPE Pool Fund and other partners who collectively help in meeting a reality. Gafon stressed that poverty should not be viewed only in a monetary term, which he described often thing of cash, bread and butter issue, noting that education is the foundation that determines whether today's bread will translate into tomorrow's prosperity. Civil service agency organizations have adopted a six-count resolution aimed at petitioning the national legislature for the allotment of 1% of the proposed national budget to be given as support to CSOs operation in Liberia. The CSOs, including the Better Future Foundation, the Press Union of Liberia, the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia, among others, reached That's the decision during a consultative forum held under the theme empowering Liberian CSOs through legislative budgetary that's appropriation, a prerequisite for sustainable peace and development in Monrovia, Liberia. Speaking during the opening of the forum, the executive director of the Better Future Foundation, Reverend Augustine Akwe, said there is a need for the government to assist CSOs because of the drastic reduction of international assistance to the CSOs in Liberia. Also, remarking during the forum, Sano County showed the CSOs that their request will be given serious consideration when the petition reaches the plenary of the House of Representatives. The forum, which was held at the conference room of the Governance Commission, was graced by a large number of representatives of the civil society organizations, international partners, students, among others. The community of persons living with disability is speaking out against recent police attack, calling for government intervention. Perkins Boyd, president of all university students living with disabilities, during a press conference, expressed outrage over the incident, saying the group has faced marginalization and denial of justice for decades. Boyd recounted the events on December 1st to the third, when the community celebrated International Day of Persons with Disabilities at the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf Ministerial Complex in Congo Town, Monrovia. Meanwhile, the situation turned violent when police officers assaulted participants and destroyed their mobility aids. The group is demanding justice and accountability, saying they have been denied social justice and inclusivity. They are calling on the Ministry of Justice to intervene and ensure their voices are heard. The executive director of Crusader for Peace, Madam Julie Endy, delivered an impassionate call for community-driven peace building and national unity. Speaking to community members, youth leaders, women, civil society representatives, Madam Endy emphasized that peace is not an abstract concept, but a daily necessity tied directly to human dignity, safety, and livelihoods. Madam Endy challenged participants to reflect deeply on the critical national question, which, according to her, is how to keep the country safe, noting that many social challenges, such as homelessness, violence, and community conflict, often arise when people feel they have no choices and no support system. She encouraged open dialogue at town hall meetings, urging citizens to speak honestly about issues they see in their communities and to propose practical solutions. According to her, peace can be sustained when communities are actively involved in identifying problems and working collectively to resolve them. Bong County Electoral District 3 Representative Josiah Marvin Cole, Bong Superintendent Howard Norris, and District Commissioner have held a town hall meeting with communities affected by the operations of Horwin Mining Company following growing concern of inequality and exclusion in that existing memorandum of understanding. The town hall meeting brought together residents from several communities within the mining operation area in Jopoli Clan, where Horwin Mining Company is currently extracting minerals. Speaking at the dialogue meeting, Representative Code emphasized an oversight in the MOU approved in February between the affected communities and the company. According to Representative Cole, since the signing of the agreement, Bamontown has allegedly personalized the MOU, treating it as if they were the only affected community. Why? Other communities within the mining zone have been sidelined. He stressed that the MOU must be amended to clearly spell out benefits for each community based on the degree at which they are affected by the mining operations. Under the proposed amendments, communities bearing the greatest environmental and social impacts will receive a larger share of benefits, followed by other, rather than channeling most benefits to the single town. He disclosed that the amendment process will commence after the festive season and will be done at the level of the court to give the revised MOU legal standing. Speaking at the meeting, Superintendent Howard Norris supported Representative Cole's position and urged residents to remain calm while the process unfolds. The Nima Quadro Liberia Incorporated has threatened to file legal action against ArcelorMittal Liberia to the International Court of Arbitration for allegedly violating the rights of people residing in areas of operations. The newly appointed chairman of the board of the organization, Reverend Edward Wewu, disclosed that days of abusing the rights of people of Nima County are over. Reverend Wewu made the disclosure when he and the new president of the Nima Quadro Liberia Incorporated were officially presented a 25-count resolution dissolving the leadership of Alexander Sua as board chair and Randolph Fangolo as president in Painesville during the weekend. According to Reverend Wewu, he assured members of Nima Quadro Liberia Incorporated that this is a new leadership which would never let them down. And the Central Bank of Liberia has unveiled plans to deploy a fully functional national electronic payment switch for financial transactions in the country. The bank's executive director, Heron Samuel, disclosed that the signing of an agreement between the MTN Lone Star Seal mobile money and Orange Liberia is the first step in the deployment of the National Electric Payment Switchboard. Samuel made a disclosure at the signing ceremony between the MTN Liberia Lone Star Mobile Money and Orange Money Liberia in Monrovia during the weekend. What if you just joining us? A reminder you're listening to King's News, Room, the 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Stories we're following this morning. Aggrieved staffers of the Liberia Senate criticized the Senate's leadership over what they described as prolonged neglect, including the failure to implement salary increment, threatening legal action against the Senate's leadership if their demands are not addressed. Liberian musician Kawudo Ko, popularly known as Bokiro, and others has, that have spent their first night behind bars at the Monrovia Central Prison following an order from the judge of the Painesville Magisterial Court on allegation of illegal possession of narcotic substances. Liberia National Police launches nationwide security operation in preparation for the upcoming festive season. LMP Commissioner for Operations, Prince David, says the initiative is intended to to strengthen security measures across the country. Away from Liberia, armed men have kidnapped at least 13 people from a church in Nigeria, Central Kogi State, the second such attack in many weeks. These are stories we following here this morning on King's News Room. But we are taking another short break. When we come back, we'll bring you the voices of the news makers. Thanks for rejoining. On this development now, aggrieved staffers of the Liberian Senate have criticized the Liberian Senate's leadership over what they describe as prolonged neglect, including the failure to implement salary increment, among other things. Speaking during a protest action at the Capitol building Monday, a member of the Senate staff accused the leadership of the Liberian Senate of bad labor practices and total disregard for the welfare. According to him, employees at the Liberian Senate have faced persistent marginalization and violations of their rights.
We are disenchanted, we are disappointed, and we are disillusioned. The servants of the Liberian Senate over the years, before you became a member of the Senate, have been marginalized by our bosses. The very last time there was a salary increment here was in 2015 when former Senator Ahmad Jala was of Papalo County was pro tem of the Liberian Senate. Since then, there has been no increment, not even a dime. But it will interest you to know that every budget year, the budget of the Liberian Senate takes an incremental step. There is no history that the budget has declined in any given year. I'll give you an example. The budget, the 2015 budget of the Liberian Senate, the approved national budget, is $14,635,051. The one you people approved for the $14,635,051. Of this money, if you look at the proposed budget 2026, it's $16,440,876. There's a variance or an incremental difference of $1,805,825. If you look at this budget for 2025, the basis staffers, their salary account for $1,550,000. If you look at the 30 of you, your budget is in $3 million. That means the budget you making 30 of you surpasses the budget of your staff in the both categories. Why is true you are our bosses? We have come not to request, but to respectfully demand an increment in our budget.
In response, Magibi County Senator Nathaniel Mangione expressed disappointment over the situation and pledged to work with the Senate leadership and the Civil Service Agency to address their concerns.
But the Senate must give instructions to the appropriate authority that the legislature is equivalent to the executive. That you are a director in the executive and you have equivalent position in the legislature. So the system can't be disparate. Someone making $200 in the legislature and someone making $1,000 in the executive. So the entire Senate is discussing started in last week. We're going to continue today. As we speak, the CSA director is going to be here today. We're going to have a hearing today. If we can't have a hearing, then we can discuss the issue. The CSA, they have to make sure that there is equivalent pay position and based on qualification. So we are appealing to you to give us the opportunity. We have only 2 more days to go. And your issue is paramount. And reason why we are inviting the leadership of those who will make decisions here. People who tell you say don't let the person align your interest. People who tell you say don't let the person align your interest. Because if you in your interest, will say what you gotta talk to the
He's Magibi County Senator Nathaniel Mangione. Earlier, you heard the voice of Astava of the Liberian Senate. The Liberian National Police has launched a nationwide security operations in preparation for the upcoming festive season celebration across the country. According to the LNP, the initiative is part of its statutory mandate to ensure the protection of lives and property as Liberians prepare to engage in various end-of-the-year activities. Speaking on Monday at the headquarters of the Liberian National Police in Monrovia, LNP Commissioner for Operation Prince Davis said the operation is intended to strengthen security measures at key borders, checkpoints, and other strategic locations nationwide.
Today, December 15, 2025, with the President of the Foreign Unit, the President of the Monserrato Command, President of the Public Safety, I'd like to announce to you officially opening of our Christmas operation. Today, making sure that we beef up security at each of our intersection. Major has in and around Monrovia. Again, I want to say thank you for serving and protecting our Liberian people. Thank you for making sure that your President is found in and around Monrovia. Thank you, because to serve and protect is not an easy game. I will come to you today to say that we're going to make our presence felt at all the major intersections, all hotspots in and around Monrovia, ensuring our citizen goes about the normal businesses during this festive season. Thank you very much.
He's Prince Davis there speaking. President Joseph Boakai Monday launched the Excellence in Learning Project under the Ministry of Education 5-year strategic plan, aims at supporting the construction and renovation of 100 schools the schools across Liberia, reaffirming the government's commitment to strengthening the country's educational sector. In his special remarks, President Walker described the event as far more than launching of a development program, characterizing it as a clear testament to Liberia's national identity and its commitment to the future of its children. The president underscored a fundamental principle guiding that's the initiative that every Liberian child, regardless of where they are born and raised, deserves access to quality education and a genuine opportunity to succeed.
Today is more than just unveiling a program. It is a clear statement of who we are as Liberians and as a nation, what we believe about the future of our children. At its core, the project speaks to a simple but powerful truth. Every Liberian child, no matter where that child is born or raised, deserves quality education and a real opportunity to succeed. And as a matter of fact, we are proud of it. When we invest in education, we are not just building schools or training teachers. We are shaping the future of our country. Education is the foundation on which national development is built. If we get education right, we set Liberia on the right path for generations more. I always say this government and we are not about the next election. We are about the next generation. We fail our children in the classroom, we risk failing the Liberia tomorrow. This is why Excel matters. It is a bold vision of inclusive, rich, transformative impact. We're therefore here today to roll out this all-important program that bears the following four critical target areas. One, improving equitable access to primary education through the construction of 100 innovative climate-resilient schools. School capitation grant program targeting school renovation, rehabilitation, performance-based grants to incentivize merit and excellence at school. 3, school-based violence prevention program. 4, system strengthening to deliver foundational learning of a timely and quality honor school, census, and national primary learning assessments. Through this initiative, more than 350 children will benefit. Over 15,000 teachers will receive better training and support. School leaders across 15 counties in every political district will be better equipped to lead. Our schools will become safer, stronger, more resilient. This is how we intentionally build Liberia's human capital fairly and sustainably.
Meanwhile, President Walker emphasized that the Axia project directly addresses the long-standing challenges facing Liberia's educational sector, transforming those challenges into opportunities for reform, innovation, and lasting improvement.
The Excel project fits squarely within my government's agenda for inclusive development, especially our commitment to human capital development. It directly addresses the long-standing challenges in our education sector and turns those challenges into opportunities for reform, innovation, and lasting improvement. Let me be very clear, this is not just a project. It is not financing. It is an impactful investment in Liberia's future. It is an investment that will pay dividends in higher productivity, reduce inequality, empower younger communities, and a more competitive nation. I want to start by thanking our partners. And as I listen to them today, it reminds me of a little girl who was praying for a pair of shoes, and she was shouting so much, and somebody said, "You don't need to shout. God is not deaf. Keep our promises." And I listened to Andy, to one. We want to thank you so much for making it clear as to what this country needs to move. For the development of this country came with a big plate, and we're very happy to have you here. I'm very pleased to be with you today as we launch the Excellence in Learning Project in Liberia, widely known as Excel.
The Liberian President Joseph Boakai there speaking. What if you just joined us with the time half past the hour or reminder? You're listening to King's Newsroom, a 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Stories will follow in this morning. A grief staffers of the Liberian Senate criticized the Senate leadership over what they described as prolonged neglect, including the failure to implement salary increment, threatening legal action against the Senate's leadership if their demands are not addressed. Liberian musician Kawodo Code, popularly known as Bakiro, and others spent their first night behind bars at the Morovia Central Prison following an order from the judge of the Painesville Magisterial Court on allegation of illegal possession of narcotic substances. Liberian National Police launches nationwide security operations in preparation for the upcoming festive season. The LMP Commissioner for Operations, Prince David, says the initiative is intended to strengthen security measures across the country. Away from Liberia, armed men have kidnapped at least 13 people from a church in Nigeria's central Kogi state, the second such attack in many weeks. These are stories we're following here this morning on King's Newsroom. We are taking another short break. When we come back, we continue with more voices on the program. Thanks for rejoining. On this one, Finance and Development Planning Minister Augustine Gafford has highlighted the government of Liberia's determination to address learning, poverty, and strengthen the foundation of national development through education. Speaking at the launch of the Ministry of Education Excellence in Learning Project 5-year strategic plan, Minister Gafford emphasized that while the event marked the formal launch of the project, it is also clear and represented the combination of extensive education, technical management, and negotiation carried out in Washington, D.C., involving the government of Liberia and Global Partnership for Education, the World Bank, the European Union, and other development partners. He expressed sincere appreciation to all donors contributing to the GPE Pool Fund and other partners whose collective efforts made the initiative possible.
We know that today we can talk about launching, but we have roles to tread. I can recall the dedication, the passion in Washington, D.C., negotiating the financing with Georgia and her team and the GPE team. And let me thank all the donors, including those that contribute to the pool fund of GPE, including the EU and others. Let me thank the World Bank. The emphasis here is, I told Georgia, I like this, reducing learning poverty. Reducing learning poverty. Because when we talk poverty, people when they think about cash and the issue of bread and butter. What is bread and butter? Some will say, what is the essence of the education? How does it address the bread and butter issue? Some will say so. All I can say is this. Today, I can afford my bread and butter. The president can afford his bread and butter. Dr. Jala can afford, and many of you here can afford your bread and butter, and maybe with some cheese. But it could only happen because of a strong foundation. Years back, we all had a strong foundation. So, in the context of intergenerational equity, where today's generation is fair to tomorrow's generation, we cannot only be thinking about bread and butter for today, or bread and butter for tomorrow. I know that we are doing a whole lot in the school feeding program, which government is funding, but this is beyond school feeding. Dr. Jala and her team, working with the government, who have just bought loaves of bread and some butter to put all in the schools. And to say, yeah, we've addressed the bread and butter issue. We addressed the bread and butter issue and make our young folks to have shaky foundation. If the foundation is shaky, the superstructure could collapse like a pack of cards. Strong foundation. Madam Minister, thank you very much. Mr. President, thanks for the guidance. At the level of the Ministry of Finance, we want to say thanks to all partners. Reducing learning poverty is key to this.
He's the Minister of Finance and Development Planning, Augustine Gafford, speaking. Several civil society organizations have adopted a 6-count resolution aimed at petitioning the national legislature for the allotment of 1% of the proposed national budget to be given to support CSOs operations in Liberia. The CSOs, including the Better Future Foundation, the Press Union of Liberia, the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia, among others, reached the decision during a consultative forum held under the theme Empowering Liberian CSOs through Legislative Budgetary Appropriation, a prerequisite for sustainable peace and development in Monrovia during the weekend.
We urgently petition the national legislature to enact legislation to establish this dedicated funding mechanism, ensuring a sustainable, predictable, and nationally owned platform for CSOs to continue their essential work in enhancing peace, democracy, and sustainable development. So this is really about Liberians taking ownership of their peace and development. And arguably, our natural resource endowment, people will say, oh, but you're doing it, we already don't get money for this, for that. Our natural resource endowment, they outmatch our population. Our population versus the natural resource endowment of this country, they are no match. Every Liberian can be wealthy. Anything that we don't want to do, we can do it for ourselves without receiving donor aid or whatsoever. We're not saying it to say that we don't need donor, but we're talking about management. Even the international community, they have consistently said that. When Omri was leaving, they told us, no matter who becomes president, that we will have tough times ahead. So the first thing you need to do, manage well the resources that you have. 1%, that's what we're asking for, to support the civil society. The registered civil society we have is over 1,500. Many are now registered, but what we have on record with the National Civil Society Council. So divide 1% of the budget by that group.
Also speaking at the program, Sano County Representative Romeo Kuya, who represented the House Speaker Richard Cohn, assured the CSOs that their request will be given serious consideration when the petition reaches the plenary of the House of Representatives.
The civil society organizations are indispensable partners in nation building. They amplify the voices of marginalized communities, promote transparency in governance, monitors service delivery, and strengthen diplomatic participation. Liberia's progress from peace building to electoral reforms, from community development to social protection has been indispensable and compatible without the constructive engagement of CSO. You know, the CSO, you are our partners in progress. We only hire sin. Because without you, we can't go forward. We need you. You know, when donor partners, donor communities, when they're giving them to countries, they're giving those grants generally without precondition empirically, but then they enshrine in by some conditionalities. Meaning, you know, whether as a different country in the 55th legislature, Speaker Richard Nambekong leadership, this leadership is committed to working with the civil society. We are acknowledged by strategic budgetary appropriation to cover those CSOs. We enhance service delivery in health, education, agriculture, women's empowerment, climate resilience, and peace building. We are very aware of that, very cognizant. We are zealous to even hear that and we'll be part of you. So we have emphasized that peace, policy making must be informed by evidence, community voices, and data derived from CSO. A strong partnership ensures that laws and oversight work reflect the actual needs and aspirations of the citizens.
He's Sino County Representative Romeo Kuya there speaking. Earlier, you heard the voice of the Executive Director of Better Future Foundation, Reverend Augustine Akoi. The Executive Director of Crusaders for Peace, Madam Julie Endy, delivered an impassionate call for community-driven peace building and national unity. Speaking to community members, youth leaders, women, civil society representatives, Madam Endy emphasized that peace is not an abstract concept, but a daily necessity tied directly to human dignity, safety, and livelihoods. Madam Edith challenged participants to reflect deeply on the critical national question, which a calling to heart include how to keep the country safe, noting that many social challenges such as homelessness, violence, and community conflict often arise when people feel they have no choices and no support systems.
It is for us to talk. What can we do in our community to make our community peaceful? When somebody brings problem to you, how can you stop that problem? How can we help our own to make our country better? How can we keep our country safe? Certain things happening in our country, in our community. Some of the things that we can say, sometimes they're not true. When you learn to lie and fight, we discuss it here. The reason why people can have problems and they decide that they get no choice, they will take gun and fight each other, there's a reason. Then we want you to explain to us in your community, what do you understand about peace? Because somebody will tell you, to tell you the truth, peace for me, it means I get food to eat. Suppose we say, hey, you leave my children in the room, I'm going to peace them. So you will tell us how we can maintain peace in the community. You will also tell us what do you see that bringing problem in your community. How we can fix it so the community think it can go around. When you want to do that, you who the messenger to carry the message, you can't be the troublemaker. When you say you are the peace conference here, we select all the community you are in, we select the peace ambassador. So you will now go in your community and you become ambassadors in your community to maintain the peace. ECOWAS was the one that came to Liberia to help us to stop the war. ECOWAS was the one that spearheaded alongside United Nations with the American people, with the Ghanaian government in Ghana, and the AU to stop the Liberian Civil War. But the Liberian women, they were forceful for the war to stop. Now the war has stopped. The next thing you do, you causing the women in. The same women have made the right to start for you today. You causing them. When war can anywhere, that the women can go look for food, bring it for their sons and their husbands. But here you now, no more respect. You on the internet, you causing the women, everything. The internet, not for causing. The internet is to bring business to you and bring people together. You cannot use the internet to divide the people. So the reason why we're here is to talk about ourselves. How can we maintain peace in the entire peace?
She's the executive director of Crusaders for Peace, Madam Judy Endy. They're speaking. Bong County Electoral District 3 Representative Josiah Marvin Cole, Bong Superintendent Howard Norris, and the District Commissioner have held a town hall meeting with communities affected by the operations of Horin Mining Company following growing concerns over inequality and exclusion in an existing memorandum of understanding. The town hall meeting brought together residents from several communities within the mining operation area in Jopodu Clan, where Horin Mining Company is extracting minerals. Speaking at the dialogue meeting, Representative Cole emphasized an oversight in the MOU approved in February between the affected communities and the company. According to Representative Cole, since the signing of the agreement, Bamon Town has allegedly personalized the MOU, treating it as if they were the only affected community, while other communities within the mining zone have been sidelined.
Anything with a company until we come up with the agreement, it began gift for the district or the affected community, call the man. And I say you will call me. The Christmas give where you want to give. You want to give less, you want to give what? Call the man here. For the affected communities. Turn it over to him. He will call the commissioner. You have to call the 20 will call the commissioner call the superintendent. He will call me. We got 2 backup rests for the affected communities. We will call the affected communities. So the next thing we'll do, until we amend that thing, we go to the county attorney, we amend it. The man will be in charge of everything. Me,
and say on the government side we your bound they do one who you that eight. But when I come to you, I say you give me 5 people for the affected community, you do it. You will not do it. Yeah. So when I come to you, I say you give me school for the affected community, you will not do it. The only authority here, as far as I know, that he will not get. The liaison will deal with him, he will receive it, call the clergy call the commissioner call the superintendent say, Marvin, Honorable will get 10 bag of rest for the affected community. In my mind, from everything that was said here, the affected communities, like Jackson Village, like Bane, like Panama, well, Brepa people didn't come, but I know that they are using the same string. So, racial people didn't come, that only the commissioner came.
He's Broom County Electoral District 3 Representative Josiah Marvin Cole there speaking. And away from Liberia, armed men have kidnapped at least 13 people from a church in Nigeria's central Kogi state, the second such attack in as many weeks. The attackers stormed into the evangelical church, winning all intermediate rural farming district of Akara during Sunday morning service, opening fire, then abducting some of the congregants. 5 of the gunmen were killed, according to Kogi State's Information Commissioner, Kinley Fanwo, but he said others managed to escape despite being wounded. Officials described the assailants as bandits, a term used locally for criminal gangs who typically kidnap people for ransom. On that note, this is how I would like to go home this morning on this edition of the program King's News Broom, a 45-minute news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest afterward. But just before we go home this morning, let's remind you of stories we've been following. Aggrieved staffers of the Liberian Senate criticized the Senate's leadership over what they described as prolonged neglect, including the failure to implement salary increment, threatening legal action against the Senate's leadership if their demands are not addressed. Liberian musician Kawudo Ko, popularly known as Bakiro, and others spent their first night behind bars at the Moria Central Prison following an order from the judge of the Pinsville Magisterial Court on allegation of illegal possession of narcotic substances. Liberian National Police launches nationwide security operations in preparation for the upcoming festive season. The LMP Commissioner for Operation Prince David says the initiative is intended to strengthen security measures across the country. And away from home, armed men have kidnapped at least 13 people from a church in Nigeria's central Kogi state, the second such attack in many ways. These are stories we follow here this morning on King's Newsroom. I would like to say many thanks to all of our reporters, correspondents, news editors who helped in making this package. Our sources better still join us this afternoon at 1 o'clock, at which time we will be here with another edition of the program King's Newsroom. My name is Newton Tukba. Thanks for listening and watching. Good morning.